number 0809 981. You can also tweet at Smooth981 or catch the live stream up on YouTube, Smooth981. That is our channel on YouTube. Good morning, Rotus. How's it going?
Good morning, Zibby. I'm fine. Thank you. Good to be with you and all our listeners and viewers this morning. Hope everybody's okay. Prepared for a new week, hopefully with more cash available.
Amen to that. So we're talking about banks trying to address the Naira scarcity over the weekend. Okay.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
There was this directive given by the central bank that banks had to open so people could get their money. Did banks actually open over the weekend?
Yeah, some banks actually did open over the weekend. Business Day confirmed, the Punch confirmed as well. I sent out a couple of tweets for people to confirm with me, but nobody responded. But the newspapers did confirm that the banks opened. It did show intent on the part of the central bank, because earlier in the week or earlier last week, they had instructed that the banks, well, it wasn't an official instruction, but from sources within the central bank, had said that the bank should come back to the CBN itself, the vaults, to get the notes, because that's where the notes were sent initially. So, because even last week there were still persistent queues. I saw a queue at one particular bank from morning until nighttime. I mean, even at nighttime, people were still lining up at the at ATMs in order to get access to cash. So, earlier in the week, the central bank said, okay, you should come back to the branches, and then come back to the CBN itself. That is the CBN branches that were in those particular states. And then the directive came out that they should all open up over the weekend. So it's interesting. I have never personally experienced a bank in Nigeria being open over the weekend. I was hoping to get that opportunity to see it myself on Saturday, but I by the time I stepped out, it was already late in the afternoon. But yeah, they did open. They actually did. Not all of them, not all, but a number of banks opened. Some of the ones that didn't open, they were able to restock their ATM. So they did get cash, mostly old notes from the CBN, and were able to stock ATM. So some of them were addressed. Some.
Well, if you're listening and you went to a bank over the weekend and you were successful in your quest to get some money, let us know how it went. WhatsApp is 0809 444 0981. So, okay, banks opening extra hours. Has the Naira scarcity issue really been addressed?
To some extent, but it's still being understood that there were still queues at some banks. And it's been, they're just, I think what the word is from some of the banks is that it hopefully should be fully addressed through the week. So it wasn't able to be solved in just one weekend. Essentially, this is something that's going to take a little bit more time, but at least there's some progress that's being made. So if you're driving to work this morning, or you are planning to go line up, you should hopefully get access to cash. In fact, I think some of the limits, the 20,000 Naira daily limits for some ATMs and some over-the-counter withdrawals was actually removed. So I read that some people were able to take 30, 40,000 and so on and so forth and withdraw more from the bank. So it's not been fully addressed over the weekend, but I mean, this week is crucial to see exactly how things will progress for a lot of people.
I don't know, off the top of my head, I'm thinking a lot of people, yes, the banks may have opened, but chances are people would not be willing to risk the little amounts of cash that they might have had over the weekends if they have to use transport and things like that on a weekday. So chances are they probably would have waited or would wait. Most people generally would want to wait till the week where perhaps they have reasons to go out. So it's like, If you're going to work and you need to use public transportation, you're paying just once rather than paying and then going over the weekend and probably meeting a huge queue and not too sure if you're going to get some money.
Yeah. So, by the way, Chances Are is a favorite movie of mine and a song. So I'm going to send it to you by Johnny Mathis. So I
Okay.
think it starred Robert Downey Jr. But no, the indeed that is the move that a lot of people would have made this particular weekend if they weren't going to go and line up at the bank. And so it is hoped that they will now come out this week when banking hours are fully open. So the idea now is that whatever progress was made over the weekend with these banks, they now have to double up those efforts and open up all through normal banking hours. But another thing is whether or not they will be taking back the old notes, because this is a little bit of a quirk that I've heard of, in that, yeah, they are paying out the old notes to people to use them. But when it comes to accepting those notes, you have, my understanding from talking to a bank official on Friday is that you have to fill out that CBN form that you have to fill out if you're taking old notes to the central bank, because look, this thing is weird. I mean, the Supreme Court said you can accept old notes until the end of the year. So it's really strange how we still, at the end of the year, all these old notes are still going to be taken back again. So it's I think they should have just told them to print more new notes. We haven't really heard anything on the front of as far as new notes are concerned. But yeah, to your points, that makes sense.
All right, I've got some messages coming through. Benga says, I didn't go to a bank at the weekend, but an ATM near my place was loaded with money, so I was able to collect 10,000 Naira. Someone on the queue said POS operators won't be allowed to collect money. At that, you know the context to that? No, I don't know the context, Benga. You might need to explain.
Was he talking? And can Benga specify? In fact, they should let us know if it was old notes or new notes as well.
Yes, please. Old notes and new notes, Benga. Let us know. Afis says, what's the CBN saying about the cash withdrawal limits across the counter? If the ban is not lifted, the cash in circulation will still be limited. More so, all ATMs should be functional as before. Rotus, I believe the withdrawal limits have also been lifted.
Yes, some folks were able to take out. Remember, it was like a 20,000 Naira per day thing for folks. Some at least from what was being reported by Punch and what was being reported by I think Business Day as well. They were, but as you can see, Benga said he was only able to take out 10,000. I'm not sure if he attempted to take out more or that was what. So yeah, I'm not sure that was a universal thing. It looked like it was some ATMs. People were allowed to take out more than 20,000. So I'm not sure if that's universal. But there are reports of people being able to take out more than the 20,000 Naira limits. The key thing I think is this matter of old notes and whether or not there's a smooth process in depositing them. Because last week, they were giving out old notes if you're able to get them, but then they weren't taking them back, which was, really awkward for a lot of people. So that is going to be the key this week to see whether or not they're going to accept those old notes back from the bank.
All right. Hyper Ade says, I know a customer who withdrew weekly max of 500,000 and 200,000 on Saturday in old notes, but it will take a while to settle as it requires customers to deposit and withdraw to normalize the issue. Okay. So what is next really for the CBN and for the banks? Like, what else can be done to address this and so people can get back to their lives as soon as possible?
Yeah, so it's communication now. It's communication through the banks. I think the banks have to take the lead this week. It's always interesting. The banks, they used to send emails and text message alerts. People want to get those things this week so that they know that they're going to be able to get the cash that they need. So it's a communication move this week, and it's also clarity. People want clarity on the deposits as well, with respect to whether or not the banks will accept them. So it's a very, very important week. I mean, we're coming to the end of March. We're going to be moving into a new month in a few days. So I think it's all about communication. I myself, I haven't even attempted to try a bank in months since all this stuff has been happening. It's been tough relying only on electronic transactions, but I'll see myself if I can get my hands on. I prefer actually to get my hands on newer notes, but it looks like the old notes are being accepted across the board. I think again this week we'll see a lot of, as far as clarity is concerned, we'll see what happens. But the answer though is communication, and clarity for customers this week.
So speaking about the electronic channels, do we still expect that pressure to remain on them?
Yes, I still did not have a smooth experience using mobile transfers over the weekend. Bank apps were, I mean, all the transfers I tried worked, but for instance, I went out on, was it Friday night or Saturday at a restaurant, and the POS had an issue. I think, in fact, I don't even know that debit has been reversed. I was debited for some. No, I made a transfer. Sorry, I made a transfer. It said the transfer didn't go through, but I was debited, and it's yet to be corrected. So there were still issues. I still had some issues logging in into my bank apps over the weekend. So that pressure is still there. There's still a lot of people who do not want to go and line up at the banks. So still that pressure is still there.
All right. So what's the best advice though when it comes to making these mobile transfers?
Yeah, it's still to try them very early in the morning or try them very late at night. The best thing is to avoid peak periods where everybody else is using them. So at the time when everyone is at work, when everybody's just leaving work and so on. So it's around now. This is probably around this time until freshly pressed, and a little after that, maybe before 8 o'clock, 9 when the banks open, and then really late at nights. That's probably the best times. That's when hopefully there'll be less people trying to use the networks.
Wow. All right, I've got a message from Yinka. Yinka says, we spent the good chunk of Saturday doing what I call ATM hunting with fuel in my car. The entire stretch of Ikosi Road had no functional ATMs or loaded ATMs. The only one we saw had this queue that my wife dropped off to join, only to realize it was only paying 2,000 Naira. Yes, 2,000 Naira. Okay, sorry about that, Yinka.
You see, as you can see, it's not universal. Thankfully, Yinka has testified that this thing is not universal everywhere.
Gilbert says, on the back and forth trend of the new Naira policy, the CBN should revert to 1973 and 1984 when Nigeria changed its currency and learn the seamless transition rather than this complex situation currently in play. And Benga says the reason they didn't want POS operators was that they came with many ATM cards to collect a lot of cash. And they've been charging outrageous sums for money from people. So how were they able? Okay, I'll wrap my head around it later. And he also says it was the old notes. All right, well, that's all the time that we have for Business Express this morning. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your messages. And thanks, Rotus. Have a brilliant day ahead.
Thanks, Zibby. Thank you. See you guys tomorrow.
Do stay with us. There is a lot more to come on the Smooth Breakfast.